Right, looks like we might be live. So now we're doing this live. So in case we are live, welcome to Golden Goal, everybody. Okay, this is right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Now this should have basically I could hear myself, and I don't know if we could as well. If you guys could.
We could hear you.
Yeah, right. So now, as I said, we're Did you guys hear me live then?
No.
Again.
Yeah, you disappeared.
This is working well, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when it says we're live.
I guess
Right.
this is a bit of entertainment.
It's part of trying it. We're trying a new method of going live on YouTube, so no, I know that. Yeah. Right.
I'm probably going to just do it with audio on here today till I can sort out this headphones
Yep,
thing.
that's no problem, mate. Right, welcome to Golden Goal Live. We are live, and despite some technical issues, we will carry on. And let's first of all begin with introducing the panel. Welcome, panel. Welcome, George.
Hey, mate, how are you doing?
I'm very good, man. Very good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Can't complain.
And next on the show, back after a while, I'd say, Johnny, welcome back.
Hello, how are you?
So let's talk about, I think I've managed to solve one of our live issues. Let's talk about, before we move on to the preview of the Premier League action, let us first talk about one of the games that happened on Monday. George, let's start with you. We're going to talk Man United Wolves, and I think we all know what it's going to be, don't we? What were your thoughts on the game? I mean, we can start with the obvious one. Was it a penalty? Wasn't it a penalty? I mean, we can kind of know what happened, surely.
Yeah, I'll start with the game and then we'll come to the obvious decision. Thought it was. I didn't think Man United were that good, to be honest. I thought Wolves played quite well. If they weren't as wasteful, then United would have been struggling. Like how they kept a clean sheet against Wolves, I don't know. But yeah, they got the goal when it mattered. Really, they took their chance. So, and they got the 3 point at the end of the day. Like we've always said, it don't really matter about the performance as long as you get that win. Going to the penalty, I'm baffled. I really am. How they're not give that as a penalty, it's beyond me. Like, he's basically come out and Superman punched 2 defenders. It's like Roman Reigns is in goal. So obviously, Anana said it weren't a penalty, but I'm really surprised he said that. He's not going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, it was a penalty," but yeah, we got away with it. So, and I think Gary O'Neill had a right to be aggrieved with it. But it's funny that it's a run decision, but they won't rescind the yellow card. That's what I find funny. They come out and said sorry again, so everything's all right with the world. There's been a lot of talk like corruption and stuff like that, and like just damn right crap decisions. Do I think it's corruption? I can see how it can look like corruption. A penalty not being given that's blatantly obvious at Old Trafford when Howard Webb is watching the game in the hospitality box. I can see how that looks at corruption, but I don't think it's corruption. I just think it's the referees don't know what they're doing and they just don't have a clue. VAR for me isn't the issue; it's the referees, it's the officials. I've not been a great backer of VAR, but I have said that if you're going to give monkeys the keys to the kingdom, then you're going to end up with bananas or banana decisions. So with the officials, they're just not up for it. You don't. It's also it's like putting the 3 of us in. You might as well just put the 3 of us in charge of the refereeing officials.
Well, I take the salary.
Yeah, I'll take the salary for not seeing and doing nothing. So, I just think it's funny. Like, you can say sorry for doing that decision. So if that's the case, I know it's not the dumb thing, but if they should have got, I know it's not practical, but they should have got. So they apologised. Apparently, Gary O'Neill said he got it wrong. If that was the right decision, they should have said, "All right, hold on, not everyone's left. Send out your goalkeeper and a 1 designated player and take the penalty." Even if it's like 20 minutes after a game, you ain't gonna ever get. Because what else are you supposed to do? I'll say, I'm sorry, but to say like Wolves get relegated by 1 point. Do you know it happened to the Villa game, didn't it? Before, so we'll see what Johnny says as a United fan.
Well, I can't
Well,
say.
I was going to ask you, Johnny, being a Manchester United fan, I mean, you'll be happy, obviously, that you got that win, but I mean, surely that win felt more like a defeat, unless I'm being negative. But yeah, what you as a United fan are going to say on this?
Well, I can't say it was a good performance. Wasn't the greatest game to follow. Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford didn't really create a whole lot, which was a bit disappointing. But I mean, Rashford wasn't really. I don't think he plays his best football up front. Because he can't. He's much better at running into the space. But when you play Wolves, they defend more compactly. And obviously, we had Garnacho playing. He's still quite young. I don't think he's necessarily quite there to be a starter in every game, but he's a good player. And then Anthony, he didn't really seem to be at it either. So it was quite a disappointing performance. And then I suppose the back line were also quite shaky in it. So I suppose it was a lucky win, but I take the points. And then obviously there was the penalty that wasn't won, according to the officials. That was another piece of luck, but I suppose sometimes it goes for you, sometimes it doesn't. And since the decisions are made by humans currently, it's probably always going to be a part of football. We probably won't ever get rid of it.
So now we have looked at this. I mean, Johnny, so basically the decision since then has been that Simon Hooper, Michael Salisbury, and who was the other chap, have been dropped for this weekend's games. Now, should that be happening for this weekend's games? Should it be happening for more games? What should happen really? What would you like to see happen?
Just drop them completely because, like, if you mess up at work in normal, like if you or Johnny mess up at work, they're not going to say, "I'll have the weekend off," are they? And then come back next week and try and resurrect what you've done. So, like, what? The only way you're going to learn is by severe punishment. Like, if you mess up in work, you have to face the consequences. Like, so we all know what's going to happen, though, guys, don't we? It's not the first show we're going to have with this debate. There's going to be times throughout the season when Arsenal are cost badly. Already prepared for it. Probably happen against Man United, funnily enough. Chelsea, it'll even happen to Man United. But I think we all know one team it won't happen to. But I don't know. What can you do? Like, apart from sacking them, like permanently. What my argument with it is, unless I'm missing it because I'm in a different country, I don't hear about all this shit. Sorry, I've dropped the S-bomb already. With VAR or the officials, how bad they are in other countries. I'm not saying they're perfect, but I think this is what it's such an easy target and label. Oh, VAR, but it's not VAR. The machine and the technology is working. Whether we agree with it or not, it does work. It's just you've got brainless idiots that are using it. Like, you watch that VAR. If you watch VAR, that shows that Anana's what he's done is a penalty. So VAR gives that as a penalty. It's the officials that don't. Once again, so I don't know. Like, I've always said this. Like, before, I'm trying to think. Was it before? Who was in charge before Howard Webb took over? But refereeing decisions have been going on for years and years. Like, we all know that certain clubs have had the favourable decisions at their grounds. And I don't just mean Man United, I mean, like, there's other teams. But
Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool, like, you wouldn't ever get a penalty at Anfield, like, back then, or even United. Like, Highbury had its moments. But and a lot of people have said it could be corruption. And I understand when people say that, I do understand it. If you're if you're a team going to, and we have to think about this, take hatred or banter or rivalry away from it. If you're going to an Anfield or a Man United, your player goes down, you don't expect to get a penalty. For me, is that favouritism or is that a touch of corruption? It could be a bit of both. But I just think I think they're too stupid to be corrupt, like, now. Because they're just obvious decisions. Like, because if it was corrupt, it'd be the same thing every other week, wouldn't it, for the teams? But you watch, Man United have got Spurs this weekend. I know we'll go on to it. I'll guarantee you now, I've dropped a guarantee that there's a VAR decision in that game. And I'm not saying who it'll be for because I don't know, but I would not be surprised. Or there'll be a massive game again that'll get cost by a VAR. It just happens too much. Like, you go through all the dodgy VAR decisions. How many of them are actually done to VAR? I'll be honest, it's probably 3 out of 10. So, honestly, what would I do is, I don't really know. It's so hard because I could say, oh yeah, sack them or send them on a course. Well, what good's that going to do? I just want, it's just the level of refereeing, I think, in England. Like, we've got a Premier League team. We're meant to be the best team in the best league in the world, and we've got no offense. We've got non-league refereeing.
Johnny, what would your views be? I mean, what punishment is the right level of punishment? And then what needs to happen? You know, it is a refereeing course all that it needs to happen, kind of like it is when, you know, they do a speed awareness course for driving licenses, or has this happened too many times now? should referees just simply be completely dropped for that sort of mistake? Or is there a third option? Is there not enough training being given? I mean, I don't know if you can train people in common sense, because sometimes it seems that's lacking severely, but what's your view on the level of punishment that isn't taken or that should be taken, and compared to what it's currently?
I don't think you could sack the referees, because I mean it's been a perennial issue in football even before VAR. Decisions they haven't got the decisions right for a very long time. And I suppose the old argument was it used to even itself out across the season, but that probably wasn't always the case for every single team. So I don't know if there necessarily is actually a solution to solving it. Whether training could help to a degree, I suppose. If you keep making mistakes, I suppose they'd have to put them down the leagues more and bring other referees up. But I don't know if that would necessarily help that much. And I think partly it probably is a problem in other countries as well. I mean, decisions they just can't get it right all the time. But I suppose yes, perhaps in that case, those people should be removed for, I don't know, 3 games or something, and given more training about how to use the technology.
One thing I'll say about the pushing them down the leagues thing, because I heard people say that that's not really solving the issue, though, is it? It's just like sweeping it under the carpet, because then you're pushing their their decisions, which have not any common sense at all, into like the football grounds that ain't lucky enough to have the money for VAR. So I know the level, like I think, like even if that was a League One game or the Man United game, for example, that's just common sense. If you use your, like, I'm not being rude, if they use their eyes, which they're there to do, I know that's pretty rich coming from someone who can't see, but I'm not joking. I just don't understand it. Like,
I mean, kind of pushing them down the pyramid would be you get less pay, so there'd be more incentive to improve, but it might not necessarily work.
You're right. I don't think there's anything like now that we could sit here and say, right, they should do this, because you sack them and then they're going to bring people up who are not ready there. I think it goes from the top, really. It has to go from the top all the way to the bottom. If you've got Howard Webb in charge of referees, I think there's your issue. Oh, Mike Riley, he was the one who was in charge before, and we all know what he was like as a referee.
I'm going to interrupt with, as we're doing this live, we can actually do this again. There's been, I have no sources from this, but Brad, hello, Brad, if you're watching in the WhatsApp group and you've put this, please, I mean, apparently the FA has confirmed, quote unquote, that Serena Wiegman will replace Gareth Southgate when he departs. I don't know if that's a spoof or...
Right, so I've heard this. The FA have not confirmed it.
Brad, can you not post that stuff if it's not true? There's no confirmation of this, but come on.
There's a lot of strong rumours going around saying that when Southgate leaves, they'll consider talking to Serena. But obviously, unless I've missed something while I've been on here, but I saw that earlier. But it's just when Southgate goes that they'd consider talking to him about the job.
Sorry, well, anyway, carry on. Was it your? Carry on.
Yeah, so like that news. I think it's one of those things that you look at who is in control of our refereeing, and we can go like Mike Riley, what he done in the past with his decisions. Then you got to Howard Webb, and we all know that he was Alex Ferguson's best ever signing, Howard Webb. So, am I surprised the referees are so bad? No, not really. What can you do about it? I think Johnny now on the head. I don't really think there is anything you can, which is wrong. So you could give them a coaching course as much as you like. All they've got to do is say, yeah, done. Like most people probably do on their speed awareness course. Yeah, done, whatever. I don't know. Like, an idea I had, and I don't know how practical it would be, is that it would work, but so instead of having the referees in charge, like of the VAR and all that, and people watching it, that you have someone completely not involved in football and you have independent adjudicators. In one way, I don't think that'll work because they won't get the basis of football, but on the other one, it could work because they've got no biasness, have they? And I think that's where it goes back to. Like we say, oh, we don't know where these referees come from. So there's a lot of talk. I don't know how true this is. So it's in quote and unverified. But the referee, what's the referee on Monday? I can't remember his name.
Was it Simon Hooper? Or was he?
Yeah,
he was Simon Hooper.
or one of them. But one of them's from Manchester. So, and I'm not saying he's been paid or anything like that, but for me, if you've got, let's say, like a Manchester team playing, I don't think you should be having a referee from Manchester. Like if there's London teams playing, I don't think you should have a ref from London. Because don't tell me they don't say that. Like there was someone said, "Oh yeah, I used to support Notts County." Yeah, of course you do, mate. Like, that's probably the only thing I would say is try and take it away as from any biasness as you can, but then you're running out of refs, aren't you?
Yes.
That's my controversial rant on it. So,
well, it's all fair, to be honest. It's a fair point. I mean, to be honest, none of us will be the expert at this.
I'm still hurting from Brentford last season. So,
to be honest, but to be fair, I think it's quite funny. Like when was it Simon? Was it John? It was John Moss. Was it that apologized to Gary O'Neill?
Yeah.
It's like, well, what does that matter? So, oh, sorry. What the? Like, if anything, I'd rather no one admit, oh yeah, we did do that mistake, because it hurts more when they kind of admit it. It's like that Brentford thing, going, oh yeah, we know we made a mistake, but we only say it because it's too late now anyway, regardless.
So the perfect example of what I'm saying with using, and I could be clutching at straws here, but mathematically I have a point. So Arsenal was apologised to, and I'm using it from my own point of view. Arsenal was apologised by the whatever they are, twice last season, and that was at Brentford and Man United. And unless I'm wrong, Arsenal lost the title by 5 points. So say those decisions are not given, and the right decisions are given, and Arsenal win both those games, we win the league. I'm not saying that's why we didn't win the league, but I'm saying if you're a team who follow it and watch it that much, that's how valuable these decisions are. And it's going to happen to someone massive. Like it's going to happen to someone like just missing out on a title because of that one game or that one decision, or someone like you think relegation. Aston Villa should have been in the Championship, realistically.
Well, I always think the most famous example was like Ghost goal a few years ago. Who was it? Sheffield United went down. There was somebody, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it should have been Villa, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's what I mean.
That was even caught on camera, so it's like surely
Even worse.
yeah, I mean, I don't think there was VAR at that point in the league, but the cameras all across the. Was there?
Yeah, because
the goal line technology wasn't working or something, wasn't it? Yeah.
Or they forget to draw the lines, I'm not like. I just want to reiterate. I'm not saying Arsenal lost the title because of VAR decisions or officials. I'm not saying that, but if you really look at it that clear cut, you could.
Yeah, I suppose you'd have to go back and look at every team's decisions throughout the whole season, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, like.
And the issue with, like you said earlier, is if you went back and said take the penalty after the game, is it may affect how the team would play in the game. So it kind of solves it, but it kind of doesn't.
And I think it's like what you say. It's right. You can't. Like I'll reiterate. I don't think it's actually VAR. I think it's the officials. That's
and it's probably always going to be a problem, no matter what we do. I suppose it can be improved, but.
It's one of those things, though. If it works for you, you don't really complain. But if it works against you, well, it shouldn't be like that. But I honestly don't know what they could do, to be honest. Like,
Get an AI robot to do it.
well, that's what the talk was. Like, I'm not even.
Well,
It's like
that's the
funny thing,
future, I
like,
guess.
like they're saying, take the referee away and just have the AI artificial. And it sounds silly, but I don't think it's as far off being like that. That AI person who makes all the refereeing decisions.
Yeah, I don't think it would be quite ready yet, but maybe in a few years' time it could be a possibility.
Yeah.
Well, we will now move on to actually talking about Premier League games coming up, although that topic is definitely very much up for discussion. I have seen that we are having issues with comments for some reason, which we will look into fixing. But if you are watching, you are more than welcome to put comments in the WhatsApp group if you're watching, or talk in the Golden Goal community chat on Messenger as well while we try and figure out the issue. But yes, hopefully you're enjoying it, or if not now, hopefully you'll enjoy it later. And let's talk first of all. So tomorrow night, 7:45, Nottingham Forest versus Sheffield United. Now with this one, both teams without a win. Forest losing to Arsenal, United losing to Palace. George, what do you think is going to happen? What's your thoughts? Who's going to get the first points on the board in that game?
I would. One thing I do find funny is that both teams that are playing tomorrow night, who they lost to, are actually playing each other on Monday as well. I don't know if that's ever happened. Like, because Forest lost to Arsenal and Sheffield United lost to Palace. I don't know if they've meant to, if it's a coincidence. But Forest, I think Forest will get the win because they're at home. Their home form is completely different. It's a fortress, isn't it? The City Ground. So Forest are a good side. Like even against Arsenal in the second half. Like I know we wasn't as good, but they have some proper pace. Like with and I'm really not. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm really not going to try and pronounce their striker's name because I can't. All I know they sing the song about him, but I can't pronounce his name. But he's quite fast. He scored the goal. They've got Anthony Elanga who come off the bench as well. I'm not sure what's going on with Brennan Johnson. I think he might go to Chelsea. Not like Chelsea ain't bought anyone this summer, but so yeah, they look very very quick. It's just and Morgan Gibbs White. I think he's going to be like he's shined for the under-21s. I think he's so underrated, Gibbs White. We really didn't understand why Wolves sold him. So Matt Turner's home debut. So hopefully he gets a clean sheet. That's just because I've got him in FPL. But yeah, I think Forest will do a lot better this season. Like, not saying they'll get top 10 or nothing, but I don't actually think they'll be in the relegation fight. Where Sheffield United, I honestly think will. It's hard for me to comment because I've not really watched them as much. I only watched the highlights of the Palace game, and they should have probably lost that about 3 or 4-0. But obviously they've brought a couple more players in now, and then they might settle in a bit more. But if you had to push me, I'd probably say Forest would probably be a bit of a comfortable win for them. Not like a smack, like 3-4-0, but I wouldn't be too worried about Forest. I just think they're a decent side, like especially if they sign Nuno Tavares. Especially for 30 million, I'd be running with that.
I was going to say, yeah.
That's
I
what I
wouldn't pay it.
30 million. Mate, I wouldn't pay 30 quid.
No, but that's the problem. I mean, as I've said this before, how many players these days are actually worth the price tag that's set on them? With the inflation of the transfer market, you can't really. It's a rarity. I'm willing to listen to someone give me that kind of argument because,
Well, how much did they pay for him initially?
That's 6 million.
Yeah, so how could you go and sell him for 30 million? What's he showed for that increase?
No. Like I tell you, there's one player who signed this summer who I think you're paying probably what he's worth, if no, probably paying a bit less than he's worth, and that's James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah.
Like 30 million for James Ward-Prowse, one of the best set piece takers. Well, I'd say he's one of the best in the world. I'm not like there's not many that I think, but if you've got a free kick or corner, Ward-Prowse is on that. Like people like Ward-Prowse, I hate to say it, Madison, them sort of prices, they're more realistic than say Rice, Casado, all them ones. Hoy, what's his name?
Hoyland.
Home Bargains Haaland, whatever his name, yeah, Hoyland.
It's
So, yeah,
Hoyland, no D.
or Hoyland.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you know what I mean? I don't know, but yeah, I get you try and make profit on your players, but 30 million's a bit. 30 million's robbery, mate.
Mm.
I just, like I said, I stand by this. It's the transfer market inflation. No player, most price tags set on players. No player's worth the money these days.
Well, like some of the Chelsea players going to the Saudi league.
Well, to be fair, though, look at the Saudis. The Saudis are willing to pay stupid money. They're willing to pay 259 million for Mbappe, which
Is that stupid?
Maybe not. Maybe
yes,
not
in
for
the
him.
modern. I think it shows. I mean, how much the transfer market is inflated. It depends. Stupid in the sense of, is Mbappe a crap player? No, fair enough. But the amount of money that's there, it's blowing the already inflated transfer market out the window. And this is something we will discuss on another project we'll tell you about at the end of the show. So I'm going to shut up.
I'll quickly just go on about that. Obviously, we will talk about it on another project. But if you're comparing 259 million for Mbappe, people like Messi and Ronaldo in their prime, Thierry Henry, John Terry, all them sort of players, I would hate to think what they go for. Like, it'd have to be similar numbers, if not more.
300, 400 for Messi.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean? Like, even Ronaldo, like when Ronaldo's at United and Real Madrid. So that's one thing. It is stupid, the inflation with the transfers, but if they're paying want to pay 259 for Mbappe, like that. I'll be honest, actually, Jude Bellingham went cheaper than I thought he would. That's one of them, actually. I thought he'd go for like 100, 105 million.
Right, there we go. I thought I was unmuted. I thought I was muted for a second. So we will, like I said, talk transfers more. We stay to the end of the show. There's a little announcement we've got on that. Right. Johnny then. So George, did you say who's going to win between Sheffield and between Forest and Sheffield?
Yes, Forest.
Okay. Score prediction?
3-1. 3-1, but I hope it's not 3-1 because it's FPL.
Okay. Johnny, what's your thoughts on this game? What do you think is going to happen? Who's going to be first to get the points, or will both teams get it? What do you think?
I suppose it could be a draw, but I think Nottingham Forest have a bit more about them compared to Sheffield United. I think we definitely saw that against Arsenal. They've got some quality players in their team. It'd be interesting to see how effective their pace is against Sheffield United, but I think they have that sort of extra edge and bit of quality. As George said, they've got Morgan Gibbs-White. He's a quality player. He was delivering at the end of last season. They've got Alanga, who seems to, coming off the bench, he had an impact. So I think, to be honest, if I was going to put a prediction on it, maybe I'd say 2-0 to Forest.
Yeah, go on, Johnny.
I'm backing them.
I think if I would be leaning to that, to be fair, because based on what I've seen last week, I think Forest had a bit more about them. So I think Forest will win 2-1 myself. Okay, let me check. Our next game is Liverpool versus Bournemouth. So, Johnny, will stick with you. So, Liverpool, Bournemouth, both teams picking up 1-1 draws against two very different teams. So, where do you think this game is going? I mean, are you going to put back a shock result, or are you going to go for a 9-0 Liverpool? What are you going to go? What do you think?
Well, it has been historically quite a high-scoring game. I don't think it would necessarily be 9-0 again, but I think Bournemouth, they play with quite a high line, which I think suits Salah, even though he seems to be playing a bit wider again this season. But with their players up front, they definitely should be able to score. I'm not sure how many it will be. Could be 3 or 4. And then I suppose defensively, do I think Bournemouth could score? Yeah, I think teams can score against Liverpool again this season. They don't really seem to have tightened up, particularly at the back. Maybe a little bit, but I still think they're vulnerable and they're still settling their team in with their new players. But they've practically got a brand new midfield, so that would take a bit of time to adjust to. So, yeah, I back a Liverpool win. If you want to score on that, maybe 4-1.
Johnny says 4-1 to Liverpool. George?
So I think you got to fancy Liverpool at home to obviously put a bit of a statement out. I have actually just realised, and I don't know, I don't think it's the case, but it's the same thing with this game as well, that the teams they played last week played each other. Because I think Chelsea are playing West Ham, aren't they?
Correct.
So I don't.
Quite funny. This is happening
I think there were quite a lot of them this year.
Actually, I've just looked. It's not all. I thought it was the whole weekend. It's not because Brighton are playing Wolves. So
No, but it is quite funny though.
but yeah, like they're playing each other, so that's a bit weird. But I think Johnny's right that Liverpool can be scored against because I don't think they're defensively that strong. Attacking wise, I think they can tear teams apart. But if it was Bournemouth at Bournemouth, I would say there could be a shock result. But I think Liverpool could win quite heavily. I'm hoping Salah can grab a couple. He might want to try and prove a point a bit as well because he got the ump with Klopp when he took him off last week. But it'd be interesting because their new midfielder won't be there in time, so they ain't gonna want to drop many points, especially with how hard it's going to be to break into European spots this season. Because you look at it, you have your usual top 4, and then say that you have the top 4 from last season, and then you have to incorporate Liverpool into that. That's 5 already. Chelsea are going to be a hell of a lot better. So that's 6. Then you've got teams like Villa, Brighton. So trying to think who I forgot. Oh, Spurs. Yeah, yeah. Forget about them.
How can you forget Tottenham?
Well, they're irrelevant, mate. They know. And even Harry Kane's left them because he knows they're rubbish. But that's what I'd say. Even that's 9 teams. Do you know what I mean? That could all. You'd think I'd have a very, very good chance of competing for those European spots, like Champions League, and because is it this season that 5 Europe Champions League teams? Or was that next season?
I think it's this one, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So there's a 5th. So yeah, it's not going to be easy. With Bournemouth, I think Bournemouth have made some very good signings, like clever signings, like people like Max Aarons, Alex Scott, not the woman, Alex Scott who does football. Trying to think, they're trying to buy Tyler Adams. So under this new coach, they've bought some really good players. But obviously playing Liverpool at Anfield is a bit different. But very similar to I said that, so that's Forest and Bournemouth. I think they'll actually be fine. So yeah, but I'd probably say about 4-1 Liverpool though. Left him speechless.
Oh, you left me looking for the Zoom client. There we go. Found the unmute button. Well, there we go. Liverpool, Bournemouth. I think Liverpool will still win. Will Bournemouth do anything though? I mean, I don't think it'll be as high scoring as last season because I think it was the match at Anfield. I think that ended 9-0, wasn't it? Or was it the reverse fixture?
I can't remember. I remember Salah didn't score once.
Which was quite funny because everyone put faith in him, and somebody kicked off about Salah. I wonder if, I wonder if anyone remembers who that was. So yes, I think Liverpool will still win. I'm going to say 3-1 to Liverpool there because I think Bournemouth might score, but I just do think Liverpool.
To a sneak preview, I've actually captained Salah instead of Haaland this weekend.
So Liverpool to win 3-1 and Salah not to score.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
So, we'll see what happens. See what happens. The good old joys of fantasy. I don't know if the comments are fixed, by the way. So if you are watching and wish to comment, give it a go. Because I've done some magic behind the scenes, and apparently they should be working now. The section has appeared. So drop us your predictions if you fancy. The one person who's currently watching, identify yourself, please. Who are you? Join in the show. So next we will talk about the team George forgot. Of course, it's Tottenham. Tottenham taking on Manchester United at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So we know what happened with Man United. We just talked about at the beginning of the show. And then Tottenham, of course, draw with Brentford after losing Harry Kane to Bayern Munich. Oh, of course, I'm going to start with George. What do you think is going to happen in that game?
75-0 to Man United. No. I think it'll be quite a good game, actually, because we've seen how Tottenham have started under Postecoglou, and it's attacking football. You're going to score against them. And United, and they didn't attacking wise. They didn't look actually that great. Like Rashford and Bruno Fernandes, he didn't look all that. But I think it'd be an interesting game to see, like where I think you'll learn a lot about those two teams really early on. So it could be like a high scoring game, to be fair. So I'm gonna go 3-2 Man United, obviously because I can never back them lot. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw. It all depends. Like they've not got Harry Kane, so it's a big hole to fill. And when your next best strikers were Richarlison, then the rest was case.
So what are you going for this game again?
3-2 United.
So Johnny, as a fan of Manchester United among your 5,000 other teams, what are we going for? What are we going for? Are we going for United win? Are we going for draw? What's your prediction?
Well, I'm definitely hoping for a better performance than against Wolves. It can't be much worse than that. And I think probably against Spurs, they're not the best team for defending, and they're playing more attacking football, so they're probably not going to be much better than they were last year. So I think we can definitely score against them, but I think equally they could score against us. So it's a slightly tricky one to predict, but I suppose if I was going to put a score on it, maybe go 2-1 to Man United.
So United win. That's going to be an interesting game because United were poor against Wolves. That was quite simple, to be fair. United didn't deserve that win for me. So I'm not personally sure that United were all worthy of their form, unless United are going to get a form boost. I think it'd be a struggle. I mean, Spurs managed to score 2 goals without Harry Kane, which some would say some weren't expecting and were surprised by. I'm going to go probably for not the most exciting, but I think realistic in this particular one is a 1-1 draw between Spurs and United. But anything could happen in this game, I think. Tottenham, we've only seen them play once without Kane. United, they've been appalling. So will they be appalling in this game? United were terrible the 2 games of the first season, and they suddenly learned how to play football last season. So we'll see what happens Saturday and how it all goes. Right, next game is Manchester City versus Newcastle, 8:00 on a Saturday night. Newcastle hammering Villa to oblivion, 5-1 on Saturday night. And Manchester City, of course, picking up that opening 3-0 win against Burnley on the opening game of the season. So, Johnny, what's going to happen? What's your prediction for that game?
Well, I think this is going to be an interesting game again because, I mean, Newcastle, well, we have to consider them one of the big teams in the league now. And I think perhaps against Aston Villa, perhaps the score was perhaps slightly flattering to Newcastle, because I think Villa, if they had better strikers, they probably could have scored another 1, possibly 2. So, I mean, if Manchester City's strikers are on fire, they probably could score against Newcastle, but with Isak and Wilson on the pitch, equally Newcastle could score. So I think it's a slightly tricky one to predict. It'll definitely be closer than Newcastle's last game. For the score on it, maybe 2-1 to City. Maybe their experience will just show out and they'll be able to get a win in that game.
Okay, so a close one, Johnny says. George, is it going to be a close one, as Johnny predicts, or do you think something different?
No, I think it'll be quite tight. I think 1 goal might win it. Like Newcastle, a very good side going forward. They can defend. Be interested to see how City line up without Kevin De Bruyne properly now. He's injured. They didn't look that great in the European Community Shield, or whatever it's called. So I'd just go with. I think City will edge it just because Haaland will probably grab a goal because it's what he does. But hopefully Newcastle can make City drop points, makes it more interesting for the rest of us.
Yeah, I think I was talking to Nick about this on I think it was a few days ago, and he's not expecting a Newcastle win there. And I mean, I did say to him, anything's possible. I mean, depends which Man City turn up, really. I mean, the Man City that played in the Super Cup, that was a bit of a disappointment. But then again, it depends who play on Saturday. And without Kevin De Bruyne, people say Man City will not be as tricky. But I mean, you still got Erling Haaland, so I would still be a bit skeptical of that opinion myself. But yes, so I'm going to go probably for I'd like a thriller on a Saturday night. I'm going to go 3-2 to Man City, which I think would be quite good, quite a thrilling game.
Well, it's 3-0 the first, 3-0, wasn't it, the first time they played last year? So
well, good, exactly. It's all possible. Okay, moving on, 2 more games to go, and we're going to go to the 4:30 game on Sunday. It is West Ham United versus Chelsea. West Ham and Chelsea both picking up 1-1 draws in their respective fixtures last weekend. So the question is, George, where's your prediction going for this game?
I think Chelsea will win. I don't know if West Ham have got much strike power in them unless it's Jarrod Bowen. So with Chelsea, I'm assuming Caicedo will be available to play. So I think that's a different dimension for Chelsea. Actually, I didn't think they were that bad on Sunday in the second half, especially against Liverpool. They probably feel a bit hard done by. But then it is a London derby, so you can never take them. You got all form and all that goes out the window, don't it? So it'll be a decent game. But yeah, I think Chelsea probably 3-1.
3-1 Chelsea from George. Johnny, what are your thoughts on this game? Where is this going?
Oh, it's a derby, so sometimes they can be quite close. And I think if I remember correctly, didn't Chelsea did they lose to West Ham last year in the derby?
Everyone, didn't they?
I was going to say
What?
we lost most of our games. I can't remember if we lost both our West Ham fixtures. I know one of them we lost 2-1, I think. I would like to say I checked that, but I don't really want to relive the results of last season.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd think Chelsea will play better than they did last season anyway. They seem, wow. You'd think they'd be a bit more defensively solid, but they've lost Reece James again today, apparently. So probably not the greatest. But
James injured. Now there's a surprise.
yeah, I did hear that today. But I mean, you probably think Chelsea would still have enough to win. So I don't know, maybe 1-0 Chelsea.
I'll take that. I got Chilwell.
Okie dokie. I think I enjoyed and I liked watching us play last week. I thought we played
I thought
really
you were
well.
going to say last season.
No, I definitely did not enjoy us last season. Let me tell you, I think. What'd you say?
I said I did.
I'm sure you did. What a surprise there. So yes, no, I did not enjoy last season, but I did enjoy watching us against Liverpool. But you know me, I'm forever the precautionate and the cautious supporter. So we'll see what happens. I would love a win, and I think we could win this game. I'm gonna go with. Did you say 3-1, Johnny, to Chelsea?
George said that. I said 1-0.
Yeah. I'm leaning towards George's prediction a bit here. I'm going to probably go in a little bit between both of yours. I'm going to go 2-1 to Chelsea because I think we can win. But I also don't want to kind of predict massive wins just yet because I want to see how this team settles, how players settle, and which players carry on their form, and then which players might not. And obviously, Reece James's injury, frustrating, incredibly frustrating, because it shows once again he's a great player, but he can't keep himself fit for love or money. And no matter how good of a player you are, that will always be a problem. But there is a youngster that does do well as a backup to Reece James. I think his name is Gusto. He came on off the bench against Liverpool, and I was quite impressed with him, as I said on the review show. And
4 million in FPL.
He's a good potential, and I think I don't know if he will start now. Reece James is injured. It'll be interesting to see whether he will start or whether he will still come off the bench. But he's a good youngster. He's promising. Whether he's as good as Reece James, I'm not too sure on that just yet. But it'll be interesting to see if he will start or if he'll come off the bench quicker, or if he'll be on the bench, So I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea for that one and hope that will work out. And next, Monday night. And these two teams love playing each other on the Monday night, I tell you. Palace Arsenal. George, we're going to start with you. So once more, these two teams face each other on a Monday night. Under the lights yet at Selhurst? Probably second half. What do you think will happen?
I don't like playing Palace away on a Monday night. I think it all depends the way we line up. Really, obviously we've got no Timber, unfortunately, for this season probably now. So I'm absolutely gutted
That is a sad injury. I do feel for the guy, to be honest.
I think he was
who we support.
Yeah, one of our better players. So it all depends. Arsenal played a behind closed doors friendly today against Luton. So and Zinchenko played in it, so that's a good sign. So he might be back. I think we've got enough to win. I do honestly think that it just depends how we play. Like we have to watch people like Eze and Edward when they're firing and Decore. But there's holes in that Palace. I'd say there's holes in that Palace defence. They weren't tested against Sheffield United, so it's hard to say. That it'd be interesting to see how they deal with people like Saka, Martinelli, and Odegaard, Kai Havertz. Probably Nketiah will probably start after scoring. He's got a bit of a point to prove, even though I think we should get rid of him. But I just don't think he's good enough for the level we need. So yeah, I'm gonna probably say 2-1 Arsenal. Probably Saka to score the winner.
Very detailed prediction there, and yeah, Palace Arsenal. It's always a difficult fixture. And Palace at Selhurst are a dangerous team to play. I think, no matter who they play. I mean, they can even give Man City a run for their money, which is quite amusing when Man City are supposed to be this great team. So yes, Johnny, we're going to go to you. What do you think will happen? What's your thoughts on this game?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I mean, Crystal Palace, at least last season, they were one of the better defences in the league, at least statistically. But they did tend to concede one odd goal, which I guess was a bit annoying for them. But so I don't necessarily think it'll be a high-scoring game. You'd expect Arsenal to win with the quality they've got, but Crystal Palace could be a team to slip them up a little bit. Because they do have quality with Eze, Edouard to a certain extent, but he hasn't scored as many as perhaps I thought he would when he came to the Premier League. So it could be something like 2-1 to Arsenal again. They'll probably slip up a little bit, but they should win.
Score prediction?
2-1 to Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal both. Interesting. So I think it is a tricky fixture because, like I said, Palace are tricky to play at Selhurst, and Arsenal, although they beat Forest, at times looked a bit not fully confident and looked a bit didn't look too great. But it's a Monday night fixture. They're not often exciting, so I'm gonna go 1-0 to Arsenal here. With hopefully Saka to score purely for fantasy reasons, obviously. So yes, that is what I'm going to go for. It's a tricky one. It's always a tricky fixture, but hopefully it'll be more exciting than my prediction. Hopefully there'll be a few more goals in there. Hopefully there could be another thriller. You never know. You have to wait and see. Right. So the predictions part is done. So thank you to the one person that's watching. You're sticking with us. Thank you very much, whoever you are. Thank you. But we are now going to talk about a project we are doing. So, as you have seen, our attempts at going live. I mean, it worked eventually, and you even had some comedy at the beginning. I was trying to get everything right. We have managed to figure out how to go live without needing more production staff on the side, which is excellent, because being a visually impaired fan community, or for football fans, you have to deal with technology and accessibility and the challenges it poses. But we have managed to do live content now, figuring out what's best for people. The reason I mention all this is because we are planning to do something very, very special to do with transfers. George, do you want to tell us more?
Yeah, so we are going to be doing a transfer deadline day special with a bit of a twist. So it's going to hopefully be from 7 p.m. till the close of the window, and maybe just a bit after, so we can talk about the transfers that have happened. There will be a number of guests coming on, and but also for those guests that can't make it, there's going to be like special videos dropped in with some special guests like Kevin Campbell, Dan George, who's a journalist as well. There's even going to be a Tottenham section. Yeah, I won't be getting involved in that one too much, but
area.
Yeah, I had to throw up when I said that, don't worry. But yeah, so we're trying to get as many different clubs aspects and opinions for their transfer window. So if you support United, Man United, Newcastle, Chelsea, Southampton, whoever, don't matter who you support.
Watford, St Albans, Forest, Leicester.
Yeah, we're gonna get Johnny to do a section, so we're gonna get in 2 hours the amount of teams he's got.
Russian who St Albans have bought.
So they probably bought some decent players, to be fair. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So anyone who's watching, if you know people that are interested and want to support, who support different teams, you don't have to come on the show. You can either message us and send us like a video saying it, or you can even type it and one of us will just read out your comments and that. So yeah, keep posted on the socials and we'll keep you up to date with what's going on. It's going to be an interesting one, and I think it'll help kickstart a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. So I think the message is that, like George said, any contributions are welcome. You don't have to actually come on live if you don't feel comfortable doing so. You can send us the video if you want, or even a voice note if you'd rather just leave a voice recording of yourself. Anything will be accepted. But the main point is we want to hear from supporters of as many clubs as possible, no matter what division you're in. I know we talk Premier League most of the time because that is the most watched division, but that does not mean that on this live transfer special that we only want to hear from Premier League supporters. No, we want to hear from the EFL clubs too. Are you happy with your transfers? What are your transfer highlights? Who did you wish you would have bought? These sorts of things. What do you think your new transfers will help you deliver this season? We want to hear from as many people as possible. At the end of the day, this is for the fans and it is by the fans as well. So we want to hear from everybody. We will be trying to get different appearances, whether live or via video, or via pre-recorded content, but we want to hear from all of you. And of course, the comments section will be a big place. We will also keep an eye out on the WhatsApp group, on the Facebook as well. So everything will be there. We want everyone to keep with the show as much as possible. It will start at 8 o'clock and it will carry on until the window closes, maybe even a bit later, depending what happens on the day. It's going to be probably the biggest show we've ever done, mainly because of the logistics and everything else. So it's going to be something
the longest.
It's going to be the longest because we've never done a show past 3 hours, but also it's going to be very involved. There's going to be a lot of things there that will be happening. We'll warn you that if technology goes wrong, just laugh because we will. That's what we tend to do. There might be comedy value, although hopefully nothing will happen and it will all be fine. But it will be a big special show, and we want all of your 112 subscribers to be a part of it, and hopefully more subscribers by then too. So, if you want to know when we go live, like this video, obviously because it's nice. Subscribe to the channel. Share this video, tell your friends, share the channel with your friends, and most importantly, click that bell to receive notifications, because when we go live, you will get the notification when to tune in. So make sure you are on the lookout. We will be posting the link on the social pages as well once the live show starts. So tune in. Before that, we will be back with a few more preview and review shows for the Premier League action, and possibly some content regarding the European competition draws as well. So do stay tuned. But that's it for us. We will be back live on Monday, hopefully, with hopefully less technical mistakes. But thank you for persevering. And if you've watched this after the show has been live and you've watched the whole show, thank you very much. We do appreciate your support. And please follow us on social media at Golden Goal TV on Twitter and Facebook. We have a Facebook group, Golden Goal TV, where you can interact with all of us. We have a WhatsApp group. If you are interested in being part of that as well, drop us a message and we will happily have a chat to you about it. Let's have a look then. George, where can people chat to you if they want to?
So you can follow me at George AWFC.
Johnny, do you use Twitter? I can't remember.
Oh, I don't have a public Twitter account, no.
Well, you got a private Twitter, do you? None of us None of us can follow you, can they? Okay, fair. Be like that. Be like that. So yeah, thank you, George. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, people, for watching, whether live or on demand. We will see you soon, hopefully with a lot less technical details. So yes, thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you on the next show.